Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
This is the Joe Concha Show.
Joe Concha.
Joe Concha.
Joe Concha.
77 WABC.
All right. I get a lot of you-know-what for being a fan of the Coldplay. I think they're one of the best artists of the 21st century. There he is, Chris Martin. Remember, one of the biggest stories of 2025 was the kiss cam. That couple that was cheating on their respective spouses. I'm sorry, you're gonna cheat on somebody? Maybe not go to a public event where there are cameras there, and you end up on this jumbotron where even the lead singer of one of the world's biggest bands, Coldplay, decides to note that they look awfully cuddly. And I hate to talk about this stuff because obviously that family. Both families are probably destroyed. But, again, how could you be that stupid? You're going to cheat. There's some cheap hotel room somewhere, right? Go away to Cancun. Say you're on a business trip. Do not go to a local Coldplay concert and expect good things to happen. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show on WABC on a rockin' Thursday night here in January. Well, not really. But I'm here to give you a little lesson on media bias, all right? But more importantly, I've always said that the most insidious bias of all that exists is the bias of omission, right? It's one thing to take a side like so many in the media do as far as rooting for Democrats and exist to serve at the pleasure of that party while looking to destroy the Republican Party or conservatives or MAGA or whatever you want to call it. It's another thing altogether to exclude certain key facts in a story in order to push a narrative. Now, I've been talking about it all week, and I'm sorry if I've been a little repetitive on this, but again, what's happening in Minneapolis with ICE agents being attacked, and then they defend themselves, and then somehow they're the bad guys for defending themselves where they could lose their life in the moment. That's what they're thinking. We all know about the ICE agent that was struck by Nicole Good. We've talked about it all week, where, again, she was told to get out of her car on multiple occasions, and instead, after her wife said, drive, baby, drive, floored it, hit an ICE officer, hit him in the torso, caused internal bleeding. That's according to DHS. And the hospital's not going to make up a prognosis like that either. I'm seeing on the left, especially in this toxic stew called Blue Sky, which is like the liberal Twitter, I guess. And everybody's saying that CBS just made up the report because CBS is controlled by Trump now or something. Okay. The guy was hit, right? I saw 2 videos where clearly he was hit. Is it really a stretch when 2 tons hits your hip that you may bleed on the inside? Yeah, probably. And again, until I'm blue in the face, this is the same ICE agent who was dragged 100 feet just a couple months ago by an illegal he was trying to arrest and ended up with 33 stitches, which I'm sure the left will say never happened either. Now, last night, we had a situation where an ICE agent was ambushed by 3 people. One with a shovel, right, which at last check can be a deadly weapon, right? One with a broom handle. All right, maybe not a deadly weapon, but certainly could do some damage. So either way, let's just look at the shovel part of all this, okay? An illegal came at this ICE agent swinging a shovel. If you get hit cleanly with a shovel, it could be over if it hits you in the right spot, or at least severely damaged, maybe paralyzed. Who cares? It's a friggin' shovel, all right? Same thing as getting hit with a baseball bat. Ask Al Capone's enemies how that went when you challenge a guy with a baseball bat. Just saying. Anyway, so the cop, I'm sorry, in this case, the ICE agent, the law enforcement agent, the federal agent, did the only thing he could do there. When somebody is trying to kill you with a shovel, you shoot the guy. In this case, shot him in the leg. Okay, maybe he had enough time to think, okay, I could at least, contain him by doing that. Maybe I don't have to kill him, because then God knows the whole state of Minnesota will be burned down completely for a guy, again, defending himself. And let me show you how exactly the New York Times chose to paint this story in a headline. And the reason why I say the headline is because I wrote a story for the Washington Examiner. It's going to run tomorrow. And it's how, I believe it was Columbia University, along with Microsoft, they did this comprehensive study on the way people consume news. Now, we all know the way that you and I consume news. I know the way I consume news. Okay, now I'm on the news. I'm on Fox News. I'm on this radio station. I write for the Washington Examiner. I do a whole bunch of interviews everywhere else when I'm not doing all those things. So I have to be up to date on things. So, yeah, I read past the headline if I find the story compelling enough. But according to this massive study by Columbia, right, not exactly a bastion for conservative sentiment, 75% of news consumers only read the headlines. And raise your hand, unless you're driving. All right, I guess you could drive with one hand just for a second. Raise your hand if you just scroll through Facebook, scroll through Twitter, scroll through wherever, any website that you get your news from, you read the headline, you look at the caption with the photo, and you say, yeah, I get it. I get what happened. And maybe that probably will elicit some sort of emotional response because you get the gist of the story. Maybe you don't want to know the details. Maybe you're just looking to go on to the next story because we live in an ADD, instant gratification culture. And you move on. And we're all guilty of this, right? I know I am in certain stories. But if I'm going to comment on it, I have to make sure I got it right because there are people out there that will, if I get something wrong, believe me, will let me know because I work for Fox and I work for ABC. So it's WABC, I should say. There is a difference, believe me. Anyway, so here's how the New York Times, with all of that said, chose to paint this story in a headline. Quote, breaking news. A federal agent shot an immigrant in the leg in Minneapolis, federal officials said, 1 week after an ICE officer killed Renee Good in the city. All right, let's break that down for a second. A federal agent shot an immigrant. No, the immigrant is here illegally. Yet the term illegal is left out of the headline to portray ICE as an agency targeting legal U.S. citizens of color. That's exactly what they're doing. They know what they were doing. You call him an illegal immigrant in the headline. God knows they had the room, all right? It's the internet. It's infinite. If you have to have an online headline, it could go as long as you effing want. And, of course, the New York Times left that out. Oh, by the way, there's no mention, and I think this is probably the most crucial part, that the suspect, the illegal immigrant, attacked a federal agent with a potentially deadly weapon, which is why the immigrant, scare quotes, got shot. How do you leave out the part? Again, let me read this for a second. This is the paper of record. A federal agent shot an immigrant in the leg in Minneapolis 1 week after an ICE officer killed Renee Good in the city. Okay. Yeah, just shot him. Was just walking down the street, said, oh, there looks like a guy who might be Somali or looks like he shouldn't be here. Boom. That's exactly what that implies. And there are enough stupid people out there or misinformed or the 75% that only read the headlines that think that that's exactly what happened. And oh, by the way, 1 week after an ICE officer killed Renee Good in the city. Oh, so Renee Good, that's right. She was portrayed as a mom of three who just dropped her kid off, 6-year-old at school, and then decided she was just driving home. And then this ICE agent just came up to her, pulled her over, and shot her in the face. Oh, I think there's some details we're missing here, as I laid out earlier. So, again, this is blatant, and it's intentional, and don't give me this crap that somehow, oh, they just missed it. They didn't miss it. They know exactly what they're doing, and it's going to get people killed. Killed! Whether it be ICE agents, whether it be a riot that gets out of control in Minneapolis or other cities around the country, because this is where they're getting the news from. It's not some stupid blog by some kid in the basement. It's the friggin' New York Times. Do better. They won't do better. Oh, meanwhile, let's go through this, okay? The Times then updated its piece 4 times, but somehow landed on this beauty of a headline. Quote, federal agent shoots man in Minneapolis, prompting tense protests. Oh, so that's just a guy now he just shot. I guess we took out immigrant. Same thing. It's just federal agents just using regular citizens for target practice. Unbelievable. I mean, I used to subscribe to that paper. I wrote for that paper. It was like 25 years ago. I think I had a couple of stories in their columns, fun columns for, their opinion page. But now I will not pay even a cent to read their stuff. I figure out other ways to read their stories so I can make sure I have everything right. There are ways that you can. But at the same time, I just will not pay one more cent to the gray lady. Oh, boy, they're getting old. Meanwhile, the Washington Post does no better. All right, this apparently is where democracy dies in darkness. The publication here decides to wait until, ding, 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 the 19th paragraph to share this very crucial tidbit. And this was the tidbit. As an officer got caught up with the suspect, 2 other people came out of a nearby property and began attacking the officer with a snow shovel and a broom handle. You have to go 18 paragraphs to learn that part? 18? And again, 75% of the people out there do not read past the headline. And then even if you do and you read a couple of paragraphs and then you think you get it, you got to go. It's like reading War and Peace and getting to the last page before you realize, oh, wow. Wait, the Germans, they were responsible for this war? Like, it's just unfriggin' believable. And that's the top 2 so-called newspapers in the country. Get bent, honestly. And this happens all the time, by the way, kids. All right? Let me give you another example of media bias and the bias of omission. All right? So Trump's inflation numbers came in this week, and it's a very respectable 2.7% inflation. I think anything below 3% is damn good, especially when you consider that under Joe Biden that we had inflation above 9%, which is the highest we have seen since Raiders of the Lost Ark was like a thing in the movies. Like we're talking like, 45 years, highest inflation we have seen in this country, basically since Carter and the Carter aftermath when Reagan first took office. Well, let me read you the New York Times headline with Trump inflation at 2.7%. Headline, inflation ended 2025 on subdued note. Subheadline, surging grocery prices were offset by lower increases for appliances and vehicles in the last such report before the Federal Reserve meets to debate interest rates. Okay, that's a pretty negative one, wouldn't you say? All right, especially when you compare it to this one. This is the New York Times when Biden's inflation went from 9% and then a couple months later mercifully lowered to 6.8%, which is still impossibly high, right? Which is easily more than double that of 2.7% and then some. Here's the Biden headline. Cooling price growth has Democrats tasting victory over inflation. Soaring prices have been a political albatross for the Biden administration. Oh, wow. They got it down from 9 to 6 something. That's great. It's a big drop. Still not 2.7% now, is it? And that's how it works. Democrat is in office, high inflation. If it comes down a little bit, Democrats are tasting victory. If it's Trump, it's surging grocery prices and inflation ending on subdued note. That's all you need to know about media bias in this country. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show, appropriately named here on 77 WABC. Back with more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, 77 WABC.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Joe Concha Show.
Joe Concha.
Joe Concha.
Joe Concha.
77 WABC.
Oh, here we go. I'll call them a top 3 band in the 70s. Anybody want to challenge me on that? Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, Eagles, right? And maybe not in that order. Here's where I got to ask, though. Are you more of a Glenn Frey lead singer guy or Don Henley? There are people listening that, maybe a little younger saying, who are the Eagles? Didn't they just get eliminated from the playoffs by the 49ers? I know. I'm more of a Henley guy, barely. But what a 1-2 punch. You could go back and forth between Glenn Frey and Don Henley. Apparently that was too much for the band because they broke up eventually. And then Henley went solo, and that's a shame. But in the 70s, it's great stuff. It's basically country music now, but that was rock then. Anyway, all right, Elias, we'll fade down. Mr. Fry. And this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show on WABC, where we love crazy sound bites and we love the boss. Not Springsteen. I'm talking about Caroline Leavitt, all of 28 years old. White House press secretary, which is one of the hardest white-collar jobs you could possibly imagine, especially when you work for Trump, where the guy speaks more than other presidents, therefore there may be more to explain or defend. But lately, Caroline has been, she's always been, what am I saying lately? Like ever since she's been press secretary, going back about a year now, she's always on offense. And she's always ready just to call out reporters who are obviously hacks to their face. Right? She used my line today, by the way. I know she watches Fox. I've interviewed Caroline on several occasions before. We flew on Trump's plane down to Wildwood for the rally there in 2024. Very, very nice girl. Married to like a 61-year-old guy. I mean, boy, talk about jackpot. That's the plan, man. If you turn 60 and you meet a 26-year-old gal and she's incredibly smart and accomplished, yeah, little age separation there, but she seems very happy. I think she's on baby number 2. I think she's pregnant again now at this point. So good for her. Works hard, plays hard, and just living a great life again. She's not even 30 yet, but you wouldn't know that she was a first-time press secretary, White House press secretary, because she just is so confident in her arguments. And today, Andy Feinberg, all right, who is absolutely not a journalist but an activist. And she stole my line, Caroline, when you called him an activist, not a journalist. That's my line. I use it on Fox all the time. But hey, imitation's the best form of flattery. I'm proud to share it, no problem. Anyway, here she is going off on this reporter who, again, does the whole Jim Acosta speech thing before asking a question, pretty much giving up where he's coming from. And then she just throws it right back at him. This is cut number 8. Go.
One of my colleagues who asked you about the president's interview with Reuters, you said that he was joking about canceling the elections. But Americans for generations have fought and died for democracy, for this democracy. Are you saying that the president finds the idea of canceling elections funny?
Andrew, were you in the room? No, you weren't. I was in the room. I heard the conversation, and only someone like you would take that so seriously and pose it as a question in that way.
Exactly. Was he joking when he said he wanted to cancel the midterms? How the F is he going to do that exactly? How does Trump cancel the midterms? Anybody want to explain that? Of course he was joking. And he does these jokes to elicit responses from idiots like Andrew Feinberg of The Independent, which is not independent in terms of journalism. Trust me. It is somewhere to the left of Rachel Maddow. And to ask a question like that, we have had many who have fought and died to preserve democracy. Who are you, Adam Schiff? With a press badge? Of course Trump was joking when he was going to cancel the midterms. Again, how does he do that? Unless he's trying to, I don't know, troll you. And boy, no one's better at trolling than Trump and Caroline Leavitt, obviously. Were you in the room? Well, of course he was joking. Of course he was joking. What a joke. Anyway, it didn't stop there, by the way, at the White House press briefing today. We also had another reporter. Now, this is where it gets a little awkward for Conch. Now, granted, I have not worked at The Hill, which is a fairly centrist publication. Little left of center, fine. They hired a guy like me, though, so how left of center could they be, right? They hired John Solomon, who was a great reporter for The Hill as well. And I can name several other people. Jonathan Turley, for example, writes for The Hill. They try to go down the center as much as they can, at least on the opinion side. But here, a reporter who I knew and I worked with, I'll leave his name out of it. You don't need to know his name. You won't know his name, so what do I care? But I heard her do this to him, and I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of agree with you. He is a left-wing hack. Nice guy. But the way that she just does this in terms of asking a question back of the reporter to get his opinion on things, because obviously he's coming from, again, a very, very far left side, and then just goes nuclear on this reporter from my former publication of 6 years, The Hill. This is cut number 6. Go.
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my
Yeah.
opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a
Killed her
biased reporter with a
unjustifiably.
left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat.
Wow. I mean, find me another press secretary that had done that before. Kayleigh McEnany did to a certain extent, right? And Kayleigh, I work with at Fox, and just the sweetest gal. I guess press secretaries get pregnant very easily because I think she's on she might be on like kid number 4 at this point. I mean, good for her. She's Irish, so the old saying is if you borrow the toothbrush. Oh, no, I'm sorry. If an Irish girl even borrows your toothbrush, she'll get pregnant. Thank you. Screwed up that joke. But the point is that, Kayleigh certainly pushed back, but Caroline, it's kind of like a Tyson fight was on a couple nights ago. Tyson versus Larry Holmes. It was 1988. Now, Holmes is older at this point. When he beat Ali, that was 1980. Ali had no business being in that ring. It's hard for boxers to quit, obviously. And Holmes kind of got a lot of criticism because he really beat on Ali, and Ali refused to go down because he's Muhammad Ali. But it was just a very awkward, uncomfortable fight to watch, a younger Larry Holmes fighting. Obviously, Ali was pretty much gone by the Leon Spinks fight. The second one, 1978, he still won that because it's Leon Spinks. But at that point, he shouldn't have been fighting Holmes. Holmes beat him up pretty good for 8 rounds. And Tyson was a big fan of Ali. So when they fought in 88, and this is obviously when Tyson's champion, because Tyson won the championship, I believe, October of 1986, Trevor Berbick. This was obviously a young guy, and Tyson, I think maybe 20 years old at that point, 21 years old. And Holmes, give him credit, Tyson knocks him down not once, not twice, I believe 4 times in the 4th round. And finally, the fourth knockdown is just a complete knockout, and Holmes' eyes are in the back of his head like Michael Spinks's were in a fight earlier that year. But that's basically what Caroline Leavitt did to that reporter. It was the Tyson knockout of Larry Holmes. Like, he ain't getting up now, is he? Because, again, you heard the reporter say, when Caroline asked him, Renee Good died horribly and tragically. What is your opinion of the ICE officer's action that day? And he said, he acted maliciously and recklessly. He did? He got hit by an SUV, dude. He had internal bleeding to his torso. He had already been dragged once by another illegal, 100 yards, and had to get 33 stitches a couple months before that. And now this woman accelerates her SUV at him after she was told to get out of the car, and now you're saying he acted recklessly? That's the point of view that you, as not an opinion person but a reporter for The Hill, is coming from? So good for her. She's right. He does not deserve the seat that he is sitting in, and that's the way it's got to go with the media. John McCain and and Mitt Romney, when he ran against Barack Obama, both of them thought that if they could play nice with the media, then they'll get fair coverage back. And what did they get in return? John McCain is a curmudgeon, an old man, and a racist. John McCain? Nah, not going there. I know some of you don't like him, Rhino, all that stuff, but definitely not a racist. And then Mitt Romney, again, nice guy, senator, Massachusetts, had Romney Care up in Massachusetts, which was basically Obamacare, like government-run health care. So you'd think some Democrats would kind of be turned on by that in terms of maybe I could vote for this guy. And instead, Mitt Romney got it even worse, where he was basically turned into Gordon Gekko, who treats dogs really, really bad. Oh, and also a racist. So you can't play nice with this media. They hate conservatives. They hate people like Caroline Leavitt and President Trump and J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. So the only way that you deal with somebody who's trying to bully you is to punch them back. All right? Not literally, of course, but rhetorically. And Caroline Leavitt clearly showing that no one is better than her at that. Anyway, let's end it on this note, this little segment that we're in, shall we? Now, I've interviewed Marco Rubio on this station, by the way, and you got to admire this guy. Played quarterback in college. I know, smaller school. Then he went to Miami. Kind of like me, like you're at a small school and you could play sports at like a Division III school, no problem. I think Marco may have been Division II or maybe even a small Division I school. Then he transferred to Miami, and then you're not going to walk on at Miami at Marco's height, which is my height, which is 5'9", unless you're Doug Flutie at the Boston College, but that was a rarity. Anyway, He goes to Miami, and then after he graduates, goes to law school, graduates top of his class, and then, as a young adult, meets a Miami Dolphins cheerleader and marries her. You have to admire this on like 28 levels. Like outside of marrying a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, Miami Dolphins is a very, very close second. Okay, so Marco marries the cheerleader, then becomes eventually a senator, then runs for president. Didn't go too well in 2016. He wasn't authentic at that time. He tried to out-Trump Trump. He just wasn't confident in his arguments. He certainly is confident now, and as I've said 100 times, he very well will be a president of the United States. Maybe not 2028, but 2036. That ticket with Barron Trump, oh, baby, cannot be beat. But also, what I learned from interviewing Marco and having a couple of private conversations with him at like the RNC, for example, is that he's a funny guy. Not like Joe Pesci, like, how am I funny? What the F is so funny about me? What am I, a clown? I'm here to amuse you? That's a bad Joe Pesci. I met Joe too once at the Jersey Shore once. Anyway, I'm going off a lot of tangents. But Marco Rubio, this is a funny guy. And here's RFK Jr. He was asked by Katie Miller. Katie Miller is the wife of Stephen Miller. She has a great podcast. I'm going to get her on this show very, very soon. We're in talks. Our people are in talks. Our people are basically like me texting her, can you come on the show, please? But the point is that here is RFK Jr. sharing a very funny story, a joke that Marco Rubio had shared. Cut 5, go.
There's 240,000 people that Doge had found who were over 114 years old who were collecting unemployment. And Marco said, well, in their defense, it's hard getting a job after you're 114. Well, that's the kind of thing that you hear from them all the time.
See, that's funny because it wasn't practiced. It's not contrived. Like, that was just something that popped into his head. Like, when you're 114, you probably should be collecting unemployment because, hard to get a job at that stage of life. But anyway, that's Marco Rubio, and that will be your 49th president. Save the tape. That is the prediction here. I am Joe Concha. This is, yes, the Joe Concha Show on 77 WABC. We got so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, 77 WABC. It's the Joe Concha Show. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. 77 WABC.
And welcome back, everybody. I hate saying this, but this is the late, great Jimmy Buffett.
Heading up to
San Francisco for the Labor Day weekend show. Oh, this is so sad, dude.
I got my hush puppies on.
Buffett can't die. He's too happy to die. He died last year, I believe. Anyway, this is Come Monday. And one of the great songs of all time. If you want to just relax, you don't need wine. You don't need a gummy. Just put on some Buffett. It'll be all right. Come Monday. I'll be holding you tight. All right, I've insulted this song enough as well, Elias, so we'll fade slowly. Thank you. Jimmy Buffett. Parrot heads. Those were the fans of Jimmy Buffett, I believe. Yes, they were. And I guess I'm a parrot head now I think about it. Anyway, so we go from like nice, happy, relaxing, soothing Buffett music to liberal women, or as my 12-year-old calls them, a bunch of screaming Karens. Like, this is just her observation as a kid who is probably like a world-class soccer player at this point. Don't mean to brag. She's currently, she's heading back now at this point, or maybe back soon. She did her first ski trip today up to Mountain Creek. Now, New Jersey actually has mountains, believe it or not. And this is the old Vernon Valley. Action Park, remember that? That was the summer place that you would go to there. It was nicknamed Class Action Park because people actually died at this water park. I don't mean to laugh, but it was like 40 years ago. So I guess, statute of limitations on whether you could kind of chuckle about this is there. But, I mean, this was one of the most dangerous places on earth. Let's put it this way. Action Park in Vernon Valley, New Jersey, the owner ran such a dangerous operation that no insurance company would insure the park. So this guy, according to the documentary that I saw that was literally called Class Action Park, launched his own insurance company to insure his own park. But he made it so it didn't look like he was insuring it, that some other random insurance company that was insuring it. So he created an insurance company to insure a park that literally killed people. You can't make this stuff up. So anyway, go watch that documentary if you can sometime. I believe it's Netflix, and it is Class Action Park. But my daughter's up there. She's safe. Don't worry. This is just a skiing, and I go up there all the time with my son. But this is her first time on a ski trip. So, I taught her on Monday night at a smaller hill near me, and I hope she does okay. But there you go, kid. Break a leg. Not literally. But yeah, I guess we'll find out how that went up at Mountain Creek with 12-year-old Cameron doing her thing and living the best life she can. I mean, imagine that 6th grade. You're going on trips with your friends. And tomorrow she'll get up, she'll go to school, and then she has the weekend off, play some soccer, has some fun. 12, 10 years old, probably the best 2 ages you could possibly be on this earth. Anyway, another tangent by Joe. Got to stop doing that. She talks about, my daughter does, the crazy Karens, the screaming Karens. Listen to this one woman just losing her mind at ICE. Like, there's something wrong with these people. And as I said, they all seem to wear glasses. All their hair seems to be shorter than mine, or it's just not done very often. And showering seems to be an option. The gym seems to be an option. And these are just angry people that have no purpose in life. This is cut number 1. Go.
Are you proud of this? Are you proud? You are an idiot. You do not deserve to walk the face of this earth. None of you. None of you. You are fools.
Oh, man. I mean, it's bad enough you have to live in Minnesota in January. So I guess that would make me a little pissed off. But this is what these people do all day. They just yell at ICE agents who, again, are expelling the worst elements of crime out of their city. You should be thanking them. You should be bringing them I don't know. What do you bring somebody in Minnesota when it's called hot pizza? That would work. A hottie toddy. I don't know what those are, but they sound pretty good. Sounds like they'll warm you up. But this is like, I could play 1,000 clips like this. And this is what they all sound like, look like. Thank God I don't live. I mean, I live in New Jersey. Like, I'm not saying we're doing much better here as far as the liberal thing, but it ain't like that there. That's certainly for sure. Meanwhile, Tim Walz, I guess he's going to be on this show like every night because there probably isn't, forget like somebody who's profoundly stupid and profoundly dishonest. Again, said he was in Hong Kong during the Tiananmen Square riots in 1989 when he was back in Nebraska. Said like he was like the next Vince Lombardi as far as coaching this team to a state championship in Minnesota when he was just a volunteer coach. And why was he a volunteer coach? Because he got pulled over doing 96 miles an hour while loaded, got a DUI, and therefore the state of Minnesota would not allow him to be a head coach because of that violation. So he had to volunteer instead and was a very small cog in some wheel of a team that won a national championship, or excuse me, a state championship. And then even when he was playing AOC in some sort of like Madden video game, said that AOC runs a mean pick six. You don't run a pick six. A pick six is an interception returned for a touchdown, therefore 6 points, and it happens organically. Maybe the cornerback, defensive back, linebacker, maybe he jumps a route. Maybe the ball is tipped, some sort of fortuitous, tip, goes right to a defender, they run it back. Maybe the quarterback's hit when he throws the ball and ends up underthrowing it, and then it's a pick for a 6, and that's it, and that's a pick 6. And then Tim Walz actually thinks that's a play you call on defense, which as a former defensive end for the state champions of Wayne Valley, New Jersey, that is an insult to me. Anyway, Walz lies, whether it be about also, oh yeah, that's right, he was in the National Guard in Italy, and once they were deployed to Iraq in an actual war zone, he fled, said to his unit, bye-bye, I'm going to go run for Congress now, and then actually had the audacity to say that he fought in war zones when, of course, he did not. So we could go on, but we have finite time here. Here is Tim Walz talking about ICE going after all of his neighbors of color because ICE is racist, I guess, because that card hasn't been played enough. This is cut 3. Go.
Federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, undertrained ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live.
Oh, screw you. So let me get this straight. The guy who ran the COVID snitch hotline in 2020, remember that? Literally, this guy, they had PSAs out, public service announcements, with Walz saying that if you see any of your neighbors out without a mask, you report it to this hotline. So he's talking about now he likes masks or does not like masks anymore. He loved them, but now ICE wears them. That's bad. And then he's saying that there's a snitch thing going on where ICE agents are walking up to people's houses and saying, point out the colored guy or girl so we could arrest them. They're not doing that. It's not even close. But this is what this guy does. And I swear, he'll either be in jail. He's definitely going to be indicted. This whole Somali fraud thing, $9 billion for autism centers that don't exist and feeding hungry children with food that doesn't exist, and obviously child care centers for children that are not in the child care center. Yeah, all under his watch. And oh, by the way, that money that was stolen, some of it was donated to Democratic candidates in Minnesota. Hate to go all Joe Biden with you with the whisper thing. But yeah, whether it be Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, whether it be Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, who we'll get to in a moment, and Tim Walz, the goofy governor of Minnesota, who became nearly the vice president of the United States, if not for a couple of swing states, and could have been a heartbeat for the presidency. That guy. All right, so Kamala Harris, great job choosing him, but this is the way this guy speaks. And let's do one more. Why not? This is cut number 4 with Tim Walz, and it's just the same old BS. Cut 4, go.
Let's be very, very clear. This long ago stopped being a matter of immigration enforcement.
No, it hasn't.
Instead, it's a campaign of organized brutality against the people of Minnesota by our own federal government.
So let me get this straight. The federal government has declared war on friggin' Minnesota? I'd rather go into Greenland. I mean, what? No, they haven't declared. They've declared war on criminals in your state that you welcome with open arms and said, hey, come here. Come to Minnesota. We won't win a Super Bowl for you. Not going to win an NBA championship. No World Series anytime soon. Probably not a Stanley Cup. But we could give you free driver's licenses that you shouldn't have and health care on the taxpayer dime of people who are actually here legally. We'll give you free education. We'll give you free everything. I'm the Oprah of governors. And now he's saying that the federal government's at war with their state? No, just elements that you invited in that are committing fraud or, more importantly, killing, raping, kidnapping, or molesting people. Yeah, but you're on their side, right, Tim? Great job. Again, could have been the friggin' vice president. That's just disturbing. There's only one way to put it. Anyway, we mentioned that we would get to Jacob Frey, the human broomstick that is Minneapolis governor, Mogadishu East, I guess you could call it. West, not quite sure where we are in terms of Mogadishu. The North, the American version of Mogadishu. Yeah, that's the most boring way to put it. Anyway, Jacob Frey, again, insulting federal agents. Again, after, and FoxNews.com, by the way, let me just share this real quick. Fox News Digital did a great analysis of all the times that ICE agents were either attacked or injured or hospitalized in the state of Minnesota, attacked by illegals or agitators / protesters who are really there not to protest, but to obviously, hopefully, cause a civil war in their eyes. Anyway, not once did Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, once put out a statement offering condolences or thoughts and prayers or get well soons to any ICE agents that have ever been hurt in his city. And that's all you need to know about this schmuck. This is cut number 9. Go.
Imagine if that city or that town was suddenly invaded by thousands of federal agents that do not share the values that you hold dear.
Let's imagine some other invasion. Let's see. Under the president that you supported, the Autopen, President Autopen. It's not even Biden. I'm not going to say Biden was like somehow at a command center like Mr. Burns in The Simpsons, has all these TVs in front of him and all these buttons that he could push and all these people he can call and he's barking out orders, right? He's Peyton Manning, Omaha, right at the line of scrimmage. Like that wasn't Joe Biden. Somebody else was running the country. So I'm not going to say Joe Biden did this. I'm going to say the Autopen. Basically, in terms of invasion that Jacob Frey is talking about, the invasion happened under the Autopen, where we had anywhere from 12 to 15 million people, as far as we know, probably more with all the gotaways and so on, that invaded this country. And some cities said, come on in, sanctuary cities like New York City. And Zohran Mamdani, who apparently is on a texting relationship with President Trump, and he voiced his displeasure with Trump threatening to pull federal funds from New York City because New York City refuses not to be a sanctuary city. Yeah, that's how it's going to work, pal. We're not going to support you bringing in all these illegals so the federal government can take care of them. You want to do that as a New York City mayor? Roll the dice and take your chances, but use your own money. The federal government is not going to help you as long as President Trump is in the Oval Office. Same goes for Minnesota. Same goes for Minneapolis. You want to invite all these people in? Good, you take care of them. Just like we saw with DeSantis and Abbott, the governors of Florida and Texas, respectively, who sent illegal immigrants up to Martha's Vineyard because they said, we welcome all people from all walks of life into our community. You know how long illegals lasted in Martha's Vineyard less than 24 hours before they were shipped off to Cape Cod and some military base there. Like, that's how much Martha's Vineyard could tolerate having illegals on their island after they were told, come on in, open arms. Oh, you're actually coming? Wait, who's sending these people? Get them out of here. I'll tell you this about Martha's Vineyard. I went there with my wife one time, and we went out for dinner because you go out to dinner every night. You know, we're in a hotel or something. I forget where we were. Bed and breakfast, I forget. And this is like 2012. And I remember even in 2012, even if we just had one glass of wine each and an appetizer, entree, no dessert, $225 on the nose every friggin' time. That is the most expensive place on earth. I mean, Abu Dhabi has nothing on Martha's Vineyard. Just wanted to share that part as well. Meanwhile, this is the liberal mindset as a result of Jacob Frey and Tim Walz calling ICE agents the Gestapo. It's 1930s Germany all over again. It's the Nazi secret police. You say this stuff over and over again, and enough idiots out there that don't have a lot of time, that have a lot of time in their hands, don't have a lot to do with their time, they end up putting out videos like this, and this guy should be arrested like immediately. This was on TikTok, and it's disturbing. This is cut number 10. Go.
Hey, if you're an ICE agent, this might be a good time to kiss your spouse and kids goodbye, because you know what? You might not be coming home tomorrow. Gladly. And your family will be better off for it.
What the F? All right, he just threatened to kill ICE agents, but what's with that music in the background? Dun, dun, dun. It sounded like a Broadway play combined with death threat, which is not, a very good combination. Anyway, that's the type of videos that are out there, and that's not the only one, certainly. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders. I love finding old clips of people like Bernie, right? Of a senator like this who has just been a waste of space in the Senate for decades now. Because the guy is living in a world that does not exist. At least he is now, but you could find clips of politicians saying things that seem to be quite contradictory compared to the way they're speaking now. And this is 2015 Bernie Sanders talking about how much he's against illegal immigration. And again, why am I playing this when Bernie Sanders seems to be on the Sunday shows every week, right? Like he either has a cot at ABC, CBS, or NBC, or MS Now, or CNN. And no one could dig up this clip and say, what's changed, Bernie, in terms of your position from 11 years ago compared to now? Anyway, we'll do it here. We can't get Bernie here, unfortunately, to try to defend himself. But this is Bernie Sanders talking about illegal immigration. If you close your eyes hard enough and ignore the voice, this is Donald Trump talking. This is cut 12. Go.
Open borders.
Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal.
The
idea.
Koch.
I mean, that's a right-wing proposal which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state.
Yes.
And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that.
I agree.
If you believe in a nation state or in a country called the United States or UK or Denmark or any other country, you have an obligation, in my view, to do everything we can to help poor people. What right-wing people in this country would love is an open border policy. Bring in all kinds of people who work for $2 or $3 an hour. That would be great for them. I don't believe in that. I think we have to raise wages in this country. I think we have to do everything that we can to create the millions of jobs.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. 2015 Bernie thought that right-wing conservatives wanted open borders. How'd that turn out, Bernie? The exact opposite thing happened. Oh, that's great. We got to go to break. I'm just going to sit here and bask in that soundbite for the next couple of minutes. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show on 77 WABC. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, 77 WABC. It's the Joe Concha Show. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. Joe Concha. 77 WABC.
Give me Jay-Z.
Big pimpin', baby.
It's big pimpin', baby.
Big
Dun, dun,
pimpin',
dun,
spinning cheese. Bumpy.
Oh, boy.
You know I thug them, hug them, love them, leave them, but I don't trust or need them. Take them out the hood, keep them looking good, with diamond cuffs that'll freeze them. First time they fuss for reason. Talk about what's the reasons. I'm a pimpin' every sense in the word.
I'm not going to bother rapping.
In the cup where I keep
all right, Elias. This is Big Pimpin'. Spending G's. Big pimpin'. You're being with me. Big pimpin' up in NYC. It's nothing more pathetic than a white guy trying to do a 26-year-old rap song from Jay-Z. But here we are, and that's why you love the Joe Concha Show in its embryonic stages, but I think we're finding our groove here at this point as we head towards the 10 o'clock hour. My friend Jesse Waters on Fox had a great dig on Kamala Harris's new digs. Boy, for somebody who really knows the grassroots and really being able to connect with working class voters in places like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, all those swing states that she won. Oh, that's right. She lost all those states because she was unrelatable. And again, when she speaks outside of a teleprompter, she is a human Chernobyl. Anyway, here's Jesse on Kamala Harris and a home purchase that she apparently made, which doesn't seem to really recognize the dangers of climate change very much. This is cut number 11. Go.
Mamala just bought an $8 million Barbie Malibu dream house.
Woohoo!
Here are the highlights. Indoor-outdoor living.
Nice.
A spa bathroom with soaking tub.
Really?
Built-in speakers everywhere. Perfect for Doug's spin class.
Well.
Backyard gets even better.
Yeah.
Full kitchen, private putting green, and of course, a big, beautiful fire pit.
Nice.
Because Malibu definitely needs more fires.
Oh, God.
It's been burnt to a crisp thanks to Democrats, but not Kamala's new neighborhood. It's untouched. Nice going.
Nice going, Kamala. All right. Apparently this thing's something like $18 million, which is interesting. Again, vice president's salary and, worked in the Senate before that, and you had a book that didn't really sell all that great. Where's all that money coming from? One has to wonder. Oh, that's right. She got, what was it, about $1.7 billion in campaign funds that she ended up blowing during that campaign, or campaign did, and then they were even in debt after that. And now Kamala Harris is buying waterfront property in Malibu. Not bad. Hey, speaking of waterfront, Elias, any vacations coming up with this cold weather coming in?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to go to Cancun sometime soon.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever been?
No, I haven't.
Dude, I went there for spring break back in the 90s, and I'll share this quick story. A huge snow, like the snowstorm hit, like it was the storm of the century. And all my friends got the last flight out. I was on a flight like 2 hours after theirs. I had to stay in my house at the University of Maryland with basically no power for 2 days until they could get flights out again. And by the time I got down there, since there were no cell phones, I couldn't find them. So I had to find other friends of mine from high school I ended up running into, and I stayed with them the whole week. And then at the very end, I saw my friends again. I go, where did you guys go? I couldn't find you in the regular hotel. And they said, oh, we got bumped from that hotel. They put us in another one, and we were next to the University of Texas cheerleading squad. Like, no, this can't happen. Mother Nature hates me. That's my Cancun story. But Elias, I have a feeling you'll have better luck than I did.
Yeah, that sounded pretty tragic.
Tragic, yet not for them. I'm still hearing stories about Daisy and all these other girls that have like two names. I just, first names. I couldn't take it anymore. Anyway, Elias, thanks for sharing. Have fun in Cancun. I am Joe Concha. Thanks for tuning in. Come back tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time for the Joe Concha Show. In the meantime, bye-bye.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.